But just so you know where changes that were made to get into the 305.
Now, do we have grant fund match anywhere?
We do not.
Okay.
Or did I leave $1,000 in here?
No,
We took it out.
We took it out of, park.
Mm-hmm.
So if we move forward with wanting to get a community crossing matching grant fund, we won't be able to next year because we're getting rid of grant matching?
I took it out of the operating budget to match the budget. We have the reserves to take it out of our reserve account. You'd be just spending down your reserves or your saving account to do a grant match.
Okay.
Since
We have 25 grand budgeted in the current year's budget. Whether we use it or not, I don't know.
I was just gonna say, since we lowered the edit, which is park, to 41.3, should we put that 25,000 back in there?
No, because the park was only gonna generate, until I know the final edit number coming from income taxes,
Mhm.
I don't wanna do that because currently it's showing about 28 or 29,000 coming in that fund. Until I got better numbers, I don't wanna, I'm a little leery of doing that. That fund has got some pretty good variances in it over the last few years. And we won't know that until October. And that's where, if in the future we need to do a special appropriation to do a project, we could. Let's see if I have pages. Yeah, page. No, yeah, I was looking at that. Currently, based on the current revenue in the current year, we're looking at about 38,000 in this year's budget coming into that fund, if things stay the same. So I was comfortable leaving that at 41. And just so you know the difference between the current 22 budget, you actually budgeted 83,800 in that budget in
Mhm.
the edit dollars current year, when you're only gonna get 38 or 40,000.
Okay, but we're not using the 25, we have 25 appropriated for grant fund matches, right?
Mhm.
Let's say we've got 28,000 left to spend out of the park fund.
Mhm.
And we have 81,000 in the balance. I'm just afraid that we're gonna get a grant and we're not gonna have any money so you wanna use the rainy day fund?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
use the rainy day fund. If you wanna budget in the rainy day fund, you could and just not spend it if you don't get it.
Mhm.
I just, historically, I don't like budgeting a lot more expenses than I do
Then you know you're gonna spend.
Then I know, well, not knowing I'm gonna spend, but the revenue coming in. If we have a pot of money that's reserves and we decide to spend that down, that's a choice council gets to make. If you wanna put the 25,000 in there, we've got the cash to spend down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only good for once, you can't do it year after year.
In that edit fund,
Yes.
it has an assistant town manager. Have we got an assistant town manager?
Pete,
Pete.
Okay,
Mhm. And I moved him into the edit fund from the Lloyd, which is a special distribution fund that you may not get, so that's why it's showing up in there this year.
okay.
And we can,
Also on page 3, You have a fund number 439, stormwater miscellaneous,
Mhm.
25,000. What are we aiming that at? What's that?
Miscellaneous, not.
Miscellaneous projects, that we were budgeting a stormwater project that if we have to go,
Out of the stormwater fund that has $98,000 in it,
So this 25,000,
would come out of that 98.
okay.
and plus we get fees.
Yeah, we
On
get
it.
about, I probably.
Right, we charge $5 a month to
Yeah.
every sewer
Yeah.
customer for stormwater.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I just wanted to make sure this 25,000 wasn't coming out of something else.
No.
And earmarking it when we have that fee, like Jenny said, $98,000 in that account.
And you'll notice,
We usually transfer about $1,600 a month from the sewer fund for that $5 fee.
Up there where you got,
What page?
riverboat, wade drain and all that riverboat stuff,
What page?
3,
Okay.
there's all zeros through there, that means you don't know how much you're getting in. Is that right?
We didn't appropriate anything from those funds.
Oh, okay.
and you didn't appropriate them in 22 either.
Yeah.
We never have.
No, there is some small amount of cash in the fund.
Yeah. Riverboat has 36,425 and rainy day has 42,833. Which is what you're saying we could use for grant funding.
And I believe you can use either one of them for grant fund match, and if you wanted to budget that in one of those, you easily could.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure, I mean, we have plenty of streets and sidewalks that still need repair. And with HWC working in town on stuff, I mean, 2019 was the last time we did a community
Correct.
crossing matching grant, and I think it's time to do another one,
Mhm.
cause their roads aren't getting better.
No, they're not. In fact, since you've not done some of those, you're sitting on cash in your local roads. You-
Right, but
MFT
motor
funds.
vehicle highway can't be used as grant match though, right? Motor vehicle highway funds can't,
I think maybe you can.
can you? Cause if we could do that, if motor vehicle highway funds can be used to match
Mhm.
some of that, then we should be sitting fine with, we just have to get HWC to finish their
Correct.
Mhm.
passer rating
And
and,
there's almost 60,000 in the motor vehicle highway restricted fund that needs
Okay.
to be spent
We need-
first
On roads.
on roads.
alright,
So we need to, I need to get them done so we can start on a
there you go.
road project.
You got a project
You got the money. it's
right there, let's do it.
And Jenny, does that include, we've already, Pennsylvania, that's not completed yet, will be paid out of last year's funds.
Yeah, that was,
So just be careful of the,
money was encumbered over for that.
Right.
okay, so you've already taken that into account?
Yeah, I don't remember how much it is, but there's 16,000 left
Okay,
that goes to it.
okay, so you've already taken it into account.
Yeah.
So, and then the other big change in here, I went through and put actual budget number on your sewer utility, sewer treatment plant, to help us kind of keep track of how's our spending, how's that look against the revenue. And it's nothing more than a way to help us track our expenses in there. It's not required for us to do in the utility. You've not done that in the past.
Right. We tend to not spend near as much out of the sewer fund as what we bring in, right? I mean, most of the time, we're
Most of the time, yeah.
sitting on a pretty big surplus.
Yeah,
And
we got more in there than we've had in a long time,
Okay.
$278,000 in there.
Yeah, hopefully they can get this auger monster replaced and,
Yeah.
installed, and that'll help.
And I told George, I was talking with George yesterday and said, George, okay, I'm assuming the auger monster is done. What's the next capital project? What's your recommendation? And he's supposed to be getting me
Okay.
some of those project lists, and I'll hold him to it. Even if it
Yeah.
comes down and he says, the big thing we need to do is the electric over here, then we need to hunker down and figure out the electrical system, which I believe everybody's aware of that
Yeah,
situation. And we'll need to get somebody working on that. So the one question that,
Or, I mean, if he doesn't, you know, come up with any major, you know, big projects and stuff, I don't know if it's worth trying to pay down our finance authority, the SRF loan faster, but, I mean, obviously, we've got some issues with manhole rehabs and stuff that we need to do as well, but.
so the one question that I wanted to bring up to you that we've not discussed in any way, and I think that the town could afford it if you wanted to. From my understanding, you've not given general staff raises or cost of living raises in a few years.
Couple years, we did in 2020.
So, I wanted to bring that up to you. Jenny, help me do some quick math. Today, all salaries at a 2.5% raise is just shy of $4,900 increase to the total budget. And that's across all funds, and a good chunk of it's in the sewer fund. So if you wanted to go something along that scale, we can easily build it into the budget. I would probably, there'd be a few line items that would change in here, but we would still be under that number that I threw out earlier in the general fund.
And we have 11 employees now altogether.
Counting you guys?
No, so you and the deputy clerk treasurer, town manager, assistant town manager, marshal, assistant town marshal, maintenance, crossing guard.
Count 10, but maybe there's 11.
Okay. George and Mindy. And that was a 2.5%.
That was 2.5%. It was, what was it? It's really $4,811, so, we really didn't get all the, I think, did you include the FICA and stuff in when you did it, or just general?
No, I just included,
Just their general
the
salaries.
general salary.
So time we add some of the withholdings and stuff in it, it'd be slightly more than that, but nothing that we couldn't absorb in the budget. And if you wanted to go as high as a 4% raise, that would be just shy of 7,700.
I count 10.
Okay. Are we counting Judy twice since she does 2 different jobs?
The
office
amount
help?
is included in the percentage,
Right.
yes.
So Judy is 1 employee, but she does office, or didn't want to say
Yeah.
housekeeping, but whatever we call it,
That's what I
cleanup.
call it. I call it
And then
housekeeping.
you call it housekeeping?
Yeah.
Okay, we can call it housekeeping. So housekeeping, and then,
Go ahead, I'm gonna prop this up.
her assistant clerk treasurer, deputy clerk treasurer.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2.5% cost of living increase,
I,
could,
Somebody
I
said-
mean, that could work.
Yep.
Yes, somebody sitting there. Just kidding.
Hi, how are you?
Sit closest to Jenny to keep her in line.
If you wanna have fun, sit right here.
So I think a 2.5% cost of living increase would, if, I mean, it sounds like it would fit with, it would still be under the 310,000.
So you need
I think we would wanna actually do a motion and then a vote.
Because obviously you'll do that when you do the salary ordinance, is when you officially do it, but I just
Sure.
need to build it in the budget. So
Have we got
motion would
enough?
be,
People, or
Yes.
do we?
We have a quorum with 3,
Okay,
so. Anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to 2.5 increase in cost of living.
Okay, so 2.5% cost of living increase of that first motion.
and I'll second.
Second motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries for a 2.5% cost of living across the board, all employees.
thank you.
Social Security and everything would be about $375.
So we're,
That's with my mind doing it and not
Yeah.
a calculator, so could be.
so we're about $5,200 total then.
Yeah.
You like that lady at NASA that helped us land on the moon by not using she just did it
That's
all. on her-
right.
and-
I guess I'm in the wrong field.
Right, you should have worked at NASA.
That's right.
And the
You've
other,
always been kinda spacey to me.
Real spicy.
and the other big thing that you'll notice in the budget, that Jenny did, and we kind of worked off the same way 22 with the CARES Act dollars, we appropriated the 119 the second 119 that we anticipated. We were getting.
Appropriated it
Or
for,
budgeted, we didn't list what we were gonna use it, that way if
Oh, okay.
we wanna use it for,
well, we know
for
part of
the-
it,
for the squad car.
we're buying a Tahoe for the police department.
They just had a thing on the news about, Barbersville
Yeah?
bought a bunch of Teslas, and they're having, battery powered police cars.
They catch fire.
Bargersville bought a bunch of Teslas with their ARPA
I
fund.
don't know what they bought it with, but they.
They can't have a much bigger fund than we do. They're a tiny little town, aren't they?
Bartersville's is growing,
Yeah.
Are they?
they're
It
what,
was either Barbersville or Batesville, but I think it was Barbersville.
Bartersville's probably what, 6,000 or 7,000?
But my grandson's girlfriend lives there, I was thinking that it
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, there you go.
But I just wanted to point that out, that's how we were gonna treat that
And then we were
fund.
gonna take the playground equipment out of that also,
If,
The remainder, what we
Whatever.
wanted to do,
yeah.
if you guys wanted to go that way.
and then add a couple more benches, cause
Mhm.
when we added that space, we didn't move, the benches were on the border,
Yeah.
but now those 2 benches are sitting just kind of in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And,
Cause
and they
it's
need
funny,
help
it just
too.
looks funny.
You know,
But yeah, if we get, the remainder of that equipment and stuff, and you still have the sales lady's contact stuff.
Yeah, I did, I reached out to her like 3 weeks ago, haven't heard back from her, so I probably should reach back out to her and.
Now, do we still have a phase 2 for the playground equipment?
Yes, I mean, she broke it down into phases for us, so we can
You can
do
pick
that
and
however
choose.
we want.
Yeah.
We could divide that into more phases if we need to, or less, or, I mean,
Yeah.
she seems real amenable to do whatever we're requesting, so yeah.
I was just thinking if we're gonna do it, and we have to use that money by 25, right?
Mhm.
So we don't wanna stretch it out too far and not be able to get that money spent.
Right. Have we gotten our second allotment yet? I still haven't.
You probably won't get
Wonder
here
who's hanging
We'll
until,
probably have to fill something else out to get it.
I think the last year we got it in.
Barb at the bank will say, "Oh, did you do this thing?"
Yeah.
Jenny, I think that came in about the time I started last year, so late July, early August, I think is when we got it.
Okay.
So that's probably when we'll get it this year, cause they said it was about a year apart,
Okay.
so.
Well, at least they made it super easy for us to fill those forms out online,
Yeah, super easy.
tongue in cheek.
So,
Oh, we're having a problem.
a couple other things in the budget that, I adjusted, for what's going on in the economy. We upped our fuel expenditures just because fuel costs are way high. We upped our, things like electric bills, you're seeing stuff where they want rate increases. Propane's up, so we bumped some of those budget line items up. Obviously, I don't know where that's gonna go, but we're typically under what we've been in there, but I bumped it up a little bit, just to make sure we're covered in those line items.
You did wanna check too to see whether they wanted to raise the fire department pay from 42 to whatever.
Where's it gonna come from?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to change that significantly, but I mean, with this number right now.
I wouldn't recommend going above, 42, 45, but that's not significant enough to really do a whole lot. I wish
Right.
we had the extra dollars to do that.
We didn't talk about that we could use some of the ARPA money for that? Didn't we, or?
I mean, it could, it would just be a one-time, I mean,
Yeah.
ARPA's not gonna
Yeah,
come in every year from now on. So it would just be an infusion of, here's some extra dollars this year.
And I would
Which
rather,
wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, it's just,
you wouldn't have it for other uses, and I'd rather you see, instead of giving it to, say, the fire territory, but if you wanted to make improvements to the firehouse, do some of the things with the ARPA funds, that may be a better use for it than give it to them for salaries.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we could look at, making their living quarters, more appropriate for what
Well,
they need and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. If they're gonna have 6 people at the fire station, the living quarters are really set up for just 2 right now.
Just talking to the chief, it's, to do everything that it really needs, it's probably in that $50,000 to $75,000 range to add the extra bathrooms, to do some of the other living quarter things in there. That's his cost. And then, was talking to him, at some point in time, you're gonna need a couple more overhead doors, probably an overhead door opener or 2, just because of the age of some of that equipment. We need to budget that in the next few years over there, so.
What else do we need?
That's all I've got.
That's all we could come up with.
Anybody else have any?
You got questions or
Other
comments
ideas?
or?
Yeah, I would
Work
kinda
forward.
like to know how our money is doing since we've raised the sewer rates and stuff. Are we able to, have we seen a pretty good increase of,
Yeah, there's, $278,000 in the sewer fund now. So,
and where did we start, Dean? Do you remember? I mean, what's that been?
I can
Has that
remember
been
when-
2 years or 3 years?
Well, I mean, we raised the sewer fund last year,
right,
so last February is when it jumped up to
yeah.
what it is now.
I thought we had it to where it jumped and then it jumped again.
No, we went from 40 to 70.
Okay.
But that's a good discussion to have, and if you want, I'll work with Jenny and we can put some more detailed
Yeah, we
numbers.
can
and
go
for-
back and look and see
and-
what it was at January of 21
And do some
Oh, yes.
projections and see
Yeah.
what we have, cause we know there's more projects
Yeah,
over there to do, and you may save up to do some of them versus going out for additional bonds too.
right.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of work to do. I mean, when he showed me that video at the last meeting of that manhole over on Regan, it was like somebody opened a fire hydrant. It was just letting water,
and it's been like that for a long time, hasn't it, John?
Yeah.
yeah, so that's something,
And he's got
something's gotta give over there.
He's got a couple flow sensors on order that'll actually really help him determine some of the issues that we've got going on with the infiltration. and pinpoint exactly where it's coming from. Whether it's actually coming down the manhole or getting in between manholes or what some of the situations are. He's got it down to about 4 manholes, I think is what he showed us. He's really looking at. But it's significantly dropped with the manhole rehab that's been done and the sewer lining, so that's the good news.
Good.
I got something to throw in. I think we ought to think about updating or renovating our restroom on this side here. We've done the police side, but this was put in when we first moved to the town hall there, and Joe put all that in there. I think we need to redo the bathroom, take that wallpaper off there, maybe do some painting and stuff in there. And in her office, maybe get 2 or 3, maybe 4 chairs in there, because those folding chairs we got under. And the that wood countertop that you lean on, maybe replacing that with some kind of another countertop.
And we can look at that. I think we got some budget to do that
Yeah, we
this
got
year.
some.
And I've been talking to Pat, our new maintenance person, and I think we could do like the stuff in-house, and as weather gets colder and he's not doing outside stuff, do some of that in-house.
I would think the floor wouldn't cost that much. I would like it to look just like the
Police, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, that wallpaper is,
Well,
I-
how long ago, it
Yeah.
had to be 2000 when we got this building?
yeah, but they didn't put that wallpaper up. I think that was there from the church.
No,
They put that wallpaper
Joe
up?
did, yeah, Joe put that up there.
God rest his soul, what was
So
he
it's
thinking?
22 years old.
So, we'll talk and come up with
Get
a
a piece of
plan.
that wallpaper off and frame it, and set it right by your desk,
Make a picture in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then just have a,
Yeah, there's about $4,600 left in that one fund.
So we'll look at that, and I'll talk to Pat and see if he thinks he can tackle that project. If not, I'll get a quote or 2 about doing a couple things. And
Okay.
and me and Jenny were talking about chairs for her office instead of those folding chairs. You found some for what, just under $60?
Yeah, I think they were $55 a piece.
A
They were
piece.
nice. They're pretty nice chairs. I'm sure you can find them cheaper than that.
No,
You
that's
get what
about,
you get what you pay for.
you do. So,
One more question, going back to the sewer,
mhm.
and maybe to ask George, you know, you were talking about the electrical and stuff like that. Is there anything that we need to be looking at to get ready for the schools, hooking up with us?
No, we have plenty of treatment capacity in our system to be able to handle their flow.
Okay, and there's nothing that we need to kind
No.
of prepare for?
No.
Okay,
And right now, we know the original bids came in significantly higher than what their estimate was, and they were gonna rebid the project, so I don't know where they are at with that rebid.
cause wasn't it gonna start in the fall, this fall?
That
And we're
was
gonna
their
start
plan.
construction and.
But because of all the construction costs have skyrocketed,
Mhm.
they've done a lot of surveying, and 811 has been notified to, you know,
mark everything.
so they know where they're going.
They've got all the easements
And-
purchased that needed
yeah,
to be
so
purchased.
They've made some significant steps already, but, yeah, I don't know what.
But like I said, I know they turned down the bids that they had, cause they were much higher than anticipated. I don't think they were quite double, but they were significantly higher than what they anticipated.
And how long will it take for them to get hooked up whenever that starts? Is that like a 2-year process, or will it take that long?
3 to 6 months. Depends on how much a hurry the contractor wants to do the job.
And then their money that comes from the school to pay their sewer bills to us, that all that money has to stay in the sewer fund.
Correct. So it's an additional revenue to pay for plant improvements.
But we can't use it for roads and sidewalks and stuff like
No.
that. It has to stay in the sewer fund.
Yeah, it's
And will their,
it's a user fee.
will their bill
User.
be done just like the grade school, so
Yes.
much for each?
Yes, so
Okay.
it'd be, we'll treat them just like we've treated this
Okay.
school, in that there's a flat rate, but then a increment change based on the student.
Okay, so the school pays right now about $2,400 a month. So that should be at least double or more, cause there's only three, I think when I call over there, there's about 365 or 300 and, I'd have to look at if I had a laptop, I could tell you.
Nice, nice. I guess it keeps reminding you that you haven't gotten her a laptop yet, Jeff.
Maybe it's 400 and some with teachers, staff, everyone.
Sure,
So you know there's,
between the high school and the middle school.
yeah, I would say
More
there's.
than
Then that would increase when you have games, basketball games, sporting events.
Well, I don't see how you could do
I
that
know you could, but I don't think.
Yeah, we just take an average of what they,
unless you
every day.
make them put a quarter in there and try to get to the bathroom.
That's right. But, well, I mean, the one nice part about with as much, like, you know, Jenny and Judy do a lot of sewer bill processing, so things related to their pay can come out of that
Right.
sewer fund, same with town manager and assistant town manager. So there are ways to use the sewer fund for some stuff
Mhm.
for us
Yes.
because you guys do so much work
Yeah,
for that department
yeah.
that your pay can increase from that side just as easily, so.
Like I said, I'll work with Jenny over
Yeah.
the next couple weeks, we'll figure out,
Yeah, we'll have it ready by the town board meeting.
yeah. What's
On
that,
the
2 weeks?
14th,
14th?
or
No, it's actually.
July 14th?
3
3
weeks
weeks.
from today, so we'll have, yeah.
We'll plan time,
yeah, July 14th.
and we'll make the appropriate switches.
All right, anything else on budget stuff?
I don't have anything on budget, but,
You have something else besides budget?
well, I was just gonna let the council know that Dwayne is in the process of pulling his permits for those 2 duplexes that were approved last year. But he's also, been talking to me about the property on Tennessee Street that he bought, the Trump property. He's preliminary made the decision to tear down that commercial building. Instead of doing all the rehab, it had 2 apartments in it and some commercial space. It's more cost effective to actually tear it down and build a nice duplex. He's looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 duplexes in a single family house on that property, and
It's on the north side of the road.
north side of the road. I'm actually gonna talk about it at the plan commission meeting. He's gonna need a zoning change and plan commission, see if there's any generic comments. I'll get everybody the plan so you can give me some generic comments back so he can be prepared as possible when he actually formally presents. He's got a lot of engineering and detailed drawings to do. I've got a little more than a hand drawing at this point in time, nothing to scale. So,
Is something happening in the old plastic company?
The doors were open today. They had
Yeah, it
all
was
of the
open yesterday.
garage doors open, and I don't know what they were doing in there, but
Who owns it?
That Nancy's up there in Brownsburg, that car and towing service, I believe that's the name of it. You're from Brownsburg, you
I don't know all the towing service names up there.
everybody in Brownsburg is supposed to know everybody else.
But I'm pretty, I
Have
believe
you
that's
heard
the ones
any-
that bought the building at auction.
Yeah.
And,
I was thinking Pointer, somebody named Pointer involved originally.
I won't disagree with you.
I've seen activity there, but I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I
don't know.
have too. That's why I wondered,
Oh.
what was,
And nobody said anything to me about what's going on there. Nobody's asked for building
Permits and
permits or
everything.
anything at this point in time.
Well, if I'm out.
Come
and
on,
about,
John,
I'll go with
There's-
that.
it's up to you to.
So if you see somebody working there, stop and ask them. I'll put that on my list to drive by a little bit more
Yeah,
and look.
I'd never seen the doors open before, but
Mhm.
yesterday and today, both days I've seen the doors open.
So,
I guess I don't get out. I go from York to here. I don't see anything else.
So-
Around in the post office.
and then one final thing is we've got a couple grass issues with some absentee landlords that the notices get returned to me, so I'm gonna get with Graham and we're gonna get into a legal process about how to get them mowed so they look decent. It'll take some time, it's not gonna be quick,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Someone today told me that the lady that owns the house, her father bought the property across from Cox's plant farm where that, the Stevenson storage
Yeah.
is. They said if we could get a hold of him, we might be able to figure out where she is, but all their stuff just keeps coming back. The mail that goes to Avon and everything. So I don't know where they are. They
Jenny's
don't-
got it easy with the sewer bill, she can just take it to the county and put a lien on it, but from a property inspection, I have more steps to go
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
So I wanna do it by the book, so we
Yeah.
don't get in trouble.
Yes, please do it by the book.
Can we ask questions?
You may ask a question if you'd like, yes.
We live on, at the end of York Avenue,
Okay, that end or that end?
the end of.
All the way to
got
the
washed
very
out.
end.
West end. It got washed out?
No, it
Oh.
almost did,
Almost.
and that's what I was gonna ask, in 30 years, I've never seen anything like what I saw there. I mean, it came over the culvert, it came across the old Alexander's property and over ours, and we were afraid to drive through it, obviously. But it only lasted, what, an hour?
Yeah, probably.
Was it same day that you sent me the picture of
Yeah.
your yard,
Yeah,
Jenny?
they're at the end
Oh,
of my,
good.
they're at the end of
Okay.
my street.
That drainage off that field then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and it was something.
Is there a
different.
field tile on that field?
No, it's got a great big culvert
Yeah.
that goes under, the end of York Street.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about there, but I'm off that field, I didn't know if they put
Oh.
drainage tiles in the field.
Oh, there's
to run
drainage
water off
tiles,
the field there.
everybody, everywhere, I mean,
Yeah.
across our property, they come from that.
Mhm.
Left a lot of
From
debris.
then, there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, but there was, again, I also heard that, like, something was gonna be done to York Avenue at some time. I was gonna say, that would be a good time to help the drainage down there that's normal, not the 30-year one, but there's about a 50-foot stretch that if they would just put a drainage tile, if I was younger, I would do it with a pickaxe and some tile, but just take it to that drainage so that it won't stand there and destroy the road over the cold weather. You know, it's just a short distance. But,
That's right.
when if they're gonna do something to York Avenue, like pave it, it would be very easy just to right along the north side of
And I
York
did-
on the last 50 feet.
Recently, I did walk York with our engineer that's doing our pavement rating system.
Yeah, okay.
So, before we leave, I'd like to get your number, I'll give you mine. I'd like to meet
Okay.
you out there so you can explain it to me.
Yeah.
So I can pass on, cause I don't know where everything physically stops from town stuff to the private property
Okay.
in that, cause I'm fairly new here. I-
Okay. Yeah, this isn't a big deal, but I knew, somebody had said, well, they're gonna pave York Avenue sometime in the future. And I thought, well, I hope they don't pave it before they take that little standing water at the end, because poor mail lady has to put up with it.
And there's a number of spots along there that need to be regraded off the side to get the water into the storm drains, where it's
Yeah.
actually staying on the road and not even going over into the storm drains right now, so.
I've seen it when it's flowed where you're talking about, and it's flooded that yard of that house.
Right.
Goes up there.
Yeah, he doesn't complain.
And that's part of that drain that goes behind the school, I believe.
Yes.
Across
Yeah.
39 there, yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't washed his yard out.
Oh, I was waiting for our house to just take off down the
But-
Oh, man.
road the other day.
I will tell you, sometimes holding that water back and then releasing it slower is actually better and it will cause less problems through the whole drainage system.
Oh, Yeah, we got.
than letting it just run away.
Yeah.
So-
And it's only in the springtime that we really even have any.
If you've got a yard or something that can hold it for a day or two and then release it slowly, that's actually a very good solution, to it.
Was it that day we had that rain that just come through like?
Mhm.
Yeah, last
Crazy.
Sunday.
I was gonna say,
Last Sunday.
And what is your name, sir? Sorry, I haven't.
Blue Jay.
Lou J? Louis J, okay. Alright, yeah, if you'll give Jeff your contact information, as he's our town manager, and
Well,
he'll,
you can, yeah, it may fit into some of your bigger plans, that's the only reason I mentioned it, that would be.
And like I said, I'd like to come down and walk it with you, get a better lay of it, then I can pass it on to the engineers
Okay.
and so forth as we look at projects. 'Cause
Okay.
whether it's a street project or a storm project, we need to look at those.
Okay.
Do you still have a little swimming pool in the side?
No, yes, that's been gone for probably 35 years. Yeah,
Was
that's
it?
what I mean, yeah, we,
Oh, yeah.
And-
Well,
I
you
lived
live where
in
it used to be the
places
tanning,
there.
so the tanning beds.
yes.
Yeah. I used to
Now,
sit
Now,
there.
most of the tanning bed is buried somewhere.
is your property actually in the corporate limits of Clayton? It's not,
No.
okay. So- But you access
I wouldn't mind
your
doing
property
it.
just
You had a meeting on that once.
about annexing in?
Into it. The only thing I didn't wanna have to do was, pay any more tax, like sewage or things like that, cause we've got a good well and.
You have a septic, you're not needing to hook into our sewer system, or?
No, that's, and I can still shoot, I've got 3 miles behind, but I've got huge logs, to stop any bullets, and I'm not an avid shooter, I just bought a gun recently because of,
Well, you can carry it anywhere you want now, just
Yeah.
put it in your
Well-
car and take off.
well, I just did because we've had a golf cart stolen, and we've had strange people walking across the property, and I thought, well, if I don't have something,
Yeah. Yeah.
all I can do is holler out the door and hope they aren't armed.
So there's some part on York that obviously is town-owned, and then there's another part that's just, I would assume is considered your driveway,
Yeah,
so,
it's about, well, you can see the end of the street, which is past the culvert.
Well, yeah, right past the culvert, kind of.
Past the culvert, that's still lake, and
Okay.
then that's where ours starts,
sure.
okay?
And
again,
is your driveway paved, or
Oh,
is it
it's
gravel?
It's gravel.
Okay.
It goes uphill,
I think it was uphill, yes.
so all the water pools right down there at the bottom.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's always helpful.
Well, it doesn't bother us for the most part, I feel
Just when we wanna
sorry
get the
paying
mail
for it.
after it's rained and
Yeah.
Sure.
we have to wait till that goes away. else
Right.
we
Yeah.
all lose.
And it's right where both Greetings and us have mailboxes, fortunately.
Right.
And that's right where, it doesn't bother me, but she won't go after it, but, because you have to either walk through 2 inches of water, or you have to stay up, reach around the box.
Why don't they have a mailbox up at your house? Don't you have a circular drive they could deliver
Yeah,
and come by mail?
she delivers it if it's,
They probably would, because they're out of town.
Yeah, we're out of town, so I
They
guess.
don't do
But the mail route doesn't
mail
matter,
route
they
is
don't,
out of town.
they don't stop at town limits to deliver mail, they deliver mail all over the
Yeah,
town.
that's right.
But if they've got a mailbox out there, that's probably what they're used to
We have
doing.
one there too, so
Yeah.
that's the only reason that.
You might call the post office,
Yeah, see if
out
they
if you
would-
need one up there,
Yeah, yeah, never thought of that.
Always a new challenge, right?
yeah.
Well, after he gets to walking, he may have some other ideas.
Sure. Alright, well, that'll be, good to hear back on, what you guys look at
Mhm.
and decide over there,
Yeah.
just, I know, the town will only be able to handle town property, but
Yeah.
he'll meet with you
I'll meet with you and we'll work.
and see
I've
what we can do.
dealt with those situations before.
And just for curiosity, did Any of the people joined the town from that special meeting last year?
Just one.
Just one? And you needed all? Is
No, I mean, there wasn't I mean, it would have been great if we'd had all of them, but, I mean, our goal with that annexation project was try to create a decent buffer around town for when the sprawl eventually comes out, and, which they are rapidly
Well, I noticed
sprawling,
from the pipeline
so.
going there, yeah.
Yeah, so that just kind of one of our goals was to just try to look at, but, the planning commission is actively looking at more annexation stuff. They meet the first Tuesday of every month. If you ever wanna come to a planning commission meeting and talk, Rob Miranda chairs that group, and,
Is it here?
yeah. Yeah, the first Tuesday at 6 o'clock in this building we meet.
And what did we miss as far as the special?
We were just trying to help set next year's budget, so 2023, the town's budget.
Do you always
So-
advertise it like you did today? Cause I just happened to drive by and I
We,
saw.
I try to put the town meetings up on the marquee.
Yeah, it was on our, Facebook page, it was on our town website, and then Jenny posts up,
She's Facebook.
so.
Then it was in 3 places in town.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe it's something special, cause I'd never seen it.
No.
Something like that.
Well, we,
Well, it is, you two are here.
yeah. We have to call it special because it's in addition to our regularly scheduled town council meetings, so it's an extra one, but it's, yeah. So we meet, the town council typically meets the second Thursday of every month at 7, so if we're gonna have a different or an additional meeting, we call it a special session, special meeting, so.
And this is the second one that we've had on the budget specifically, and that's typically normal, and this should be our last one. We've got our direction to get the budget done, and we'll present that formally at the next council meeting. And then we'll go through the formal adoption process.
What were they thinking?
All right, I have a consensus to adjourn.
Yes.
All right, meeting adjourned.